Finds have been discovered in other dinosaur fossils, including a hadrosaur, those are the duck-billed dinosaurs, and a triceratops, which is a ceratopsian horned dinosaur. Some of these discoveries involve fossils alleged to be 250 to 550 plus million years old. Now see, that age range is Paleozoic. In the evolutionary mind, that's a Paleozoic fossil. Because it would be impossible for these highly degradable compounds to last for more than a few thousand years, the evidence clearly points to a young age for Earth and to the global flood that produced the fossilized remains, burying them quickly in sediments about 4,500 years ago. We would date the flood, the global flood of Noah's day, to be about 2350 BC, right in that neighborhood, about 4,350 years ago. Between 4,300 and 4,400 years. We're rounding here to 4,500 years. Okay? Genesis 5 tells us specifically that there was 1,656 years, 1,656 years between creation and the flood. So that's the length of the pre-flood time period, 1,656 years. Most creationists round that off to about 1,700 years. Okay? But the flood is the main cause of why we have these fossils. So what's the implication of all that? There was no Paleozoic era. There was no Mesozoic era. There was no Cenozoic era. All these creatures that are in the fossil record, if they are flood victims, were all alive at the same time before the flood. So why are they in rocks at different levels then? Well, because the flood waters rose throughout the 40 days and 40 nights of rain up until the 150th day of the flood there. And these animals don't all live at the same elevation. Some are bottom ocean dwellers. Some are pelagic swimmers. Some are coastline inhabitants. Some live a little bit farther upland. Some are high elevation creatures. It takes a while for the floodwaters to get them, but the floodwaters eventually do. Okay? And we can read that in Genesis 6, 7, and 8. And so we have an explanation for all of that. Illustration in living color at the bottom of the geological column. So let's go down to the bottom, which is of living things, which is what's called the Cambrian. And there are some fossils in the so-called Precambrian rocks, but those are primarily microorganisms. Those are microfossils. Okay? You have to use the microscopes that Mark Armitage is familiar with to actually see those fossils. So as far as visible fossils, we have to go to the base of what's called the Phanerozoic eon, the visible life eon, at the Cambrian period. Okay? While we do not agree with the age assignment of sediment in which these fossils were found, we don't agree with the deep time estimates. This current secular research publication illustrates our point. Okay? So this is just one example of a creature where we found soft tissue evidence. A spiky armor-plated walking tank with bulging eyes, a shield on its butt, and a head like a Swiss Army knife scuttled along the seafloor. This is a quote. More than 500 million years ago, Dr. Bob put the question mark in there, snapping up prey with a deadly pair of mouth pincers called chelicerae. All right, so this creature is about the size of your thumb nail. Okay, it's a small creature. But at that time period, according to the evolutionary mindset, it would have been basically an apex predator there. Those pinchers in the front, which are called chelicerae, are the mouth parts. This is supposedly the evolutionary ancestor of spiders, scorpions, other arachnids, and arthropods, okay, which have the jointed feet there. Its name is actually longer than the creature itself, so we'll see that here in this next slide. Researchers discovered astoundingly these thumb-sized predators in 2012, and a new study recently described the creatures determined to be a previously unknown species now dubbed Mollisonia planovenatrix. Mollisonia planovenatrix. I had to look that up. Okay, because I'm just kind of curious that way. Like, where did that name come from? Maybe I was thinking you were going to ask me, and I didn't want to be unprepared for that, so I looked it up. We'll start with the genus name, which is the Mollisonia. This is named after Mount Mollison of Canada, the Rocky Mountains of Canada, the Canadian Rocky Mountains there. This creature is actually found in a formation called the Burgess Shale. It's extremely famous in paleontology. Burgess Shale has supposedly lots of Cambrian organisms as fossils within its rocks. And it was discovered about the turn of the century, around 1900 or so. 1912 is when this creature was named and given this name, okay, by Charles Doolittle Walcott, who discovered the Burgess Shale. At the foot of the Burgess Shale, below that elevation, is Mount Mollison, where the genus name comes from. And then I found out that the mountain where the genus name is named after sisters, the Mollison sisters, who actually managed the hotel at the foot of the mountain there. Okay, so there's the genus name. Plinovenatrix is Latin for plino, means plump or full-bodied. And venatrix is Latin for a huntress, a female hunter. Okay, and so for some reason the paleontologists consider this fossil to be feminine. Okay, and so they refer to it as she in the literature. Okay, so they named it Mollisonia plinovenatrix. Scientists have found dozens of fossils of this species in recent years that include preserved soft tissue of the mouth parts, the chelicerae, along with the animal's multiple legs and bulbous eyes. Mollisonia plinovenatrix was among the first fossils researchers found, and they spotted it because of its bulging, oversized eyes peering back at them from the rock. This is a direct quote, okay, from the literature. I'm not sure. It looks pretty flattened to me there. I'm not sure how the eyes could be said to be bulging, but I guess they're looking at the size of the eye relative to the creature itself.